June 5th, 1932, 3-year-old Svanhild Hartfredsen. I can't do it. On June 5th, 1932, 3-year-old Svanhild Hartfredsen, who lived on an island of Lika in the coastal region of Trøndelag, Norway, disappeared. Svanhild earlier that day went to their family church to attend the christening of her little brother. And after the service, the family, along with relatives and the whole church, went to a nearby farm for a cookout. At 3:30 p.m., Svanhild was out playing with the other children at the cookout and was in a field beside the farmhouse, while all the older children had decided to take off and head to the seashore to play on the beach. And just within a few minutes, it was realized that she wasn't in sight anymore, and she suddenly vanished. So at this farm, there was an absolutely huge gathering of nearly 200 people, because you had everybody from the church that came, including the choir and neighboring friends and family. And within 10 minutes, a full, comprehensive, and organized search of about 200 searchers began trying to find her. They searched for hours that evening until it got dark, and they still could not find her. They did, however, find her handkerchief and one of her shoes that she was wearing on the mountainside on the other side where the seashore was. Now, after finding this shoe, several people in the search party decided to scale this mountain to investigate. Now, this was harsh terrain, so younger members of the search party, who were Carl, Leif, and Gentoff, began this steep incline. And it took them, grown adults I add you, over an hour to walk over the sharp stones that lined the path to the mountain. And in a later interview, they added they were not prepared for the climb at all, seeing as though they were still wearing their church clothes. So when they got close to the top of the mountain, one of them had to stand on the shoulders of another to get a look at the summit, where this narrow rock shelf was hanging right below the peak. And at this moment, the man, he was trying to balance himself on his buddy's shoulder when he got like a narrow glimpse, and he almost fell off his friend. And he saw, in astonishment, little Svanhild hiding in a small cave at the back of the ledge. Now, she looked absolutely terrified, but the man was able to persuade her to come here out of the hiding spot from where she was, and they were safely able to bring her back down to the mountain while carrying her until they reached the farm, where they were able to give her to her parents. Now, Svanhild appeared not too banged up. She had a few scratches on her forehead, and her clothes were ripped, especially across her chest. But other than that, she was in good health, which was perplexing. And her foot, which was shoeless, was uninjured and didn't even have one mark on it. This made no sense, seeing as now she was gone missing for over 7 hours and was able to make it to the top of a mountain ledge. So how did she get there? And how was her foot in great condition, considering Carl, who found her, had shoes on the whole time, and by the time he got off the mountain, his shoes were completely torn up from walking all over the rough stones that the mountain was lined with. Yet, even the other shoe that Svanhild was wearing was in good shape, and her socks weren't even dirty. So after getting a clear bill of health from a local doctor who was named Dr. Fossum, she appeared perfectly fine, other than in a little bit of shock. It wasn't long till speculation started to grow that the only possible way she could have gotten to the mountain ledge, which was about 800 feet up and 2 kilometers away, which is about 1.25 miles, if I'm not mistaken, from her play area, would be if an eagle swooped down and picked her up and then flew away with her. Now, although Svanhild is now deceased, believe it or not, she told and stuck to this story that it was a big bird that came down to where she was playing and caught hold of her with its mouth and then flew away with her. She said she was playing with some rocks when she suddenly saw this eagle coming towards her, and then the next thing she remembers is being on the ledge of a mountain, seeing the eagle coming toward her again. She then remembers throwing rocks at it as it tried to grab her with its claws and peck at her with its mouth. She said it was absolutely horrifying having to fight for her life at such a young age, and that how the eagle ruined her new dress that she was wearing. But when asked, she said she never remembered actually the flying part, just being in one place and then in another, which caused for a lot of theories to arise. Some say she was in shock once the eagle grabbed her, and that's why she didn't remember the flying part. And others say that the flying part simply didn't happen, and she must have gotten up there another way. Now, this is why some people, including experts, don't believe it was an eagle. At the time, Svanhild weighed 12 kilograms, which is over 26 pounds, and ornithologist Alv Otter Folkstad, who was head of the Norwegian Ornithological Society, who had vast experience on both practical and theoretical calculations on the amount of weight that an eagle could carry, said from researching eagles of all weights and sizes for over 30 years, he had never seen an eagle lift anything heavier than 3.2 kilograms, which is 7 pounds. He says the girl was way too heavy for the story to be true. He then said he did not want to accuse anyone of lying, but at the same time, no one can abolish the laws of physics. Skeptics also asked why they never found anything on her such as feathers. And local authors soon wrote books as well. One of the books was called Ornravet and Lika in 2006, which said if this was possible, it would literally have to be the Muhammad Ali of eagles, and that the story was very unlikely. Even the accounts of the 3 men who found her were taken into question, but at the end of the day, they were all in the church choir, and they really had no reason to lie about any of it. Now, there are also 2 other accounts, one from a 5-year-old in Valais, Switzerland named Marie Delex, and a 4-year-old boy from the French Alps, who had eerily similar stories as Svanhild, in which they were outside and an eagle picked them up, flew away with them in its mouth, and they were gone. Unfortunately for these 2 cases, both the children passed away. Now, you do have to remember that Svanhild told this story to her grave with no alterations at all. And even though science may say it's not possible, it still seems like the most reasonable answer. I mean, you have actual testimony of the victim along with other stories that are similar. Plus, there's no possible way a 3-year-old could have climbed there, especially with no signs of making the journey. Now, I think the eagle was the culprit here, but what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Let me know all your theories. And officially, I guess we might know one day, or we'll never know at all.